Yes.
I'll just put the question. The question is that the motion be agreed to. I call the member for Mayo.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. As I said, look, I completely support the member for Indi's motion, and I would like to echo her concerns about the national broadband rollout. It's disadvantaging regional and rural communities. And I wish to support her push for a review of the fair use policy as it applies to NBN satellite services to ensure equity of internet access for rural people. The electorate of Mayo was one of the first areas to have NBN rolled out, in some parts of it, of course. And what we've seen is that in regional areas there are winners and losers, and we are certainly losing compared to our urban cousins and sometimes our immediate neighbours. And so in my area, the townships of Strathalbyn and Wollonga were fortunate enough to have the fibre to the home, not to the node, and they were certainly the envy of many other rollouts beyond them. Mayo now has 11,900 premises ready for fibre to the node, with 4,500 connected, and more than 5,000 premises will eventually have fixed wireless. And to date, just under 5,000 premises will have to rely on the Sky Muster satellite service. The result is a disgruntled populace acutely aware that communities are being discriminated against on the grounds of geography, even if they live just 20 kilometres from the CBD of Adelaide. When I came into office, the NBN quickly became the #1 constituent issue handled by my staff. Initially, we were receiving 30 calls a week about the NBN. This has petered down to around 10 calls a week. Now, that may sound reduced, but we know that many people are not making contact with the office and are just living with the service that they're being offered, shrugging the shoulders and realising, well, I guess we live in a regional area, I guess we can't expect the same as our metro areas. And I think that that's fundamentally unfair. Residents and business people were contacting us because they had no one else to turn to, and the NBN co-service providers and their subcontractors from our communications didn't want to know about the problems. It was always somebody else's problem. We had a vet clinic that not only didn't have internet, they didn't have a landline for weeks because somehow somebody damaged the line infrastructure underground, and nobody wanted to own the problem. Neither their telco nor the NBN. We have an internet businessman in Bridgewater, 20 minutes from the city. He was originally told that he would be getting fibre to the premises, only to find out last week that this is not going to happen. His immediate neighbour would get fibre to the node, but he won't. And thanks to geography, he won't get wireless either. A similar tale affects a medical imaging research company at Piccadilly, 25 minutes from the city, and we have residents in Langhorne Creek, which is pretty flat country, whose area of 3.2 kilometres from a tower, but they can't get wireless because of the trees. We have a town with a broadacre farm that needs a 15-metre lattice tower to ensure 300 residents get wireless, and anyone who lives more than 2 kilometres away will get satellite, and there's currently a very long waiting list. Country people are pragmatic and they understand the economies of scale. However, the NBN is a national infrastructure project akin to the electricity network and the copper telephone networks of previous generations. Due to geography, country people won't have access to the level of service at the same price as the majority of people who live in metropolitan areas. Can you imagine the uproar if in the middle of metropolitan Sydney people were offered a mix of satellite, of fixed wireless towers, and just a very, very small percentage of them were offered fibre to the node? Absolutely. It's not enough to say to regional communities we'll just use ADSL. There's been limited investment in that resource because of the NBN. Some new residents cannot access ports because there are none available, and they've been told there will be no upgrade because of the NBN. Sections of my electorate are also in high rainfall areas, and in winter, copper wiring can be underwater, and because many of our areas have over a metre of water, and so that affects the connectivity of the network. And this is going to be an issue that the NBN will have to address. So if you're going to put rural people on satellite because it's cheaper for the government, then it needs to be affordable for all. And for people in regional areas, we should not be expected to pay more for internet services and receive a slower service simply because we live outside of the metropolitan areas. The government really must look at this as an infrastructure project that must be thinking of the next 50 years and not just 3 years and a budget line.